If there's one thing that boxing can teach us, it's that getting bloodied in the ring will make you bags. Or, depending on how talented you are, you could beat someone else bloody to make the same amount. But some of these people have made purses that are just absurd. Here are some of the biggest purses in the boxing history. We're warning you though, you might just want a career change after watching this video. Number 6. Lennox Lewis vs Mike Tyson, 2002. A boxing list about the biggest purses without Mayweather at its front? We know what you must be thinking. Impossible. But incredibly, boxing existed even before Floyd Mayweather put on the glove. Before he arrived at the scene, we had Mike Tyson. It's been over 2 decades since this absolutely legendary match, and it was one hell of a fight to see. Tyson and Lennox Lewis had known each other since childhood. They'd been sparring in the ring before, and Lewis once recalled a match where Mike Tyson tried to kill him when he was a teenager. When they'd meet again in 2002, the stakes were a lot higher than before, and Lewis would get his revenge. Tyson was considered by many to be the best heavyweight who ever lived. On the other hand, Lennox was the defending unified WBC, IBF, IBO, and the Ring champion. Needless to say, they both had something to prove, but what happened in the ring wasn't less of a match and more of an absolute beatdown. In the 8th, Tyson was left stunned by an uppercut, after which Lewis closed the show with a vicious right to the jaw. Even with blood pouring from deep cuts over both eyes, Tyson tried to beat the count before referee Eddie Cotton reached 10 with the former champ on one knee. The last time Tyson had lost was in 1997. Lewis said he was shocked at some of the punches his opponent took. But it was all worth it. The two had put on one hell of a show for the 15,000 people attending to see the fight. Both men made about $15 million in a single night. Tyson might not feel the same way, but $15 million is one hell of a constellation prize. But as you'll learn, he's made even bigger purses than this. Number 5. Evander Holyfield vs Mike Tyson 2, 1997. It seems that whenever Mike Tyson loses, the fight makes a huge amount of money. The 1997 fight between Tyson and Holyfield was known as The Sound and The Fury. A year before, Holyfield stopped Tyson from the heavyweight title. It was the rematch that everyone wanted to see, and it made enough money to be number 5 on our list. But the money isn't what this fight is usually remembered for, because Tyson had his own revenge plan for his previous loss the previous year. He was ready to sink his teeth into the opponent, literally. After he tried to bite Holyfield's ear off not once but 2 times, he would end up being disqualified in round 3. The fight would end up being known as the Bite Fight after this. After the match, Tyson lost his license and was hit with a £3 million fine, but this was probably just a small change out of the £25 million that he made from the fight alone. As for Holyfield, he ended up making a little over $30 million. Would you be willing to take the risk for your ear for that amount? I would. This match would end Tyson's reign as a serious figure in boxing, because that tends to happen when you try and bite your opponent's ear off. But hey, he still ended up making bank 5 years later against Lewis. Tomato tomato, right? Number 4. Mayweather vs De La Hoya 2007. And we've finally arrived at Mayweather himself, the name everyone's been expecting to see. But if you're expecting to see this man to be a one-man show as soon as his name is spoken, then you're in for a bit of a surprise. Because while Floyd Mayweather did get a sizable check from the match, the man of the hour is his opponent, Oscar De La Hoya. Back then, it was the golden boy De La Hoya who was arguably the bigger name between the two. Unfortunately for him, his challenger won a split decision in 12 rounds. The fight would earn over $130 million in revenue because of a 2.5 million pay-per-view buys. It would break all records for the highest purses in a single fight. Tyson and Holyfield's records were broken as De La Hoya took home a cool $52 million. As for Mayweather, this win would cement the brash American, who was known as Pretty Boy Floyd at the time, as the #1 name in boxing. He'd bag around $25 million. Not bad for a win by any means, but it would be the first in the long line of his big paydays for Floyd Mayweather. There's a reason his nickname changed after all. Number 3. Mayweather vs Canelo 2013. 6 years later, Mayweather was no longer a newbie. He had established himself as one of the biggest fighters in the whole world, and now he was ready to break the record De La Hoya had made against him 6 years ago. So when Canelo challenged the pound-for-pound #1, it was the perfect opportunity to do just that. 16,000 poured into the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, waiting to see if Mayweather would finally be beaten. But Canelo was the newbie here. He wasn't as established as he is today, and the words boxing superstar were probably something he'd only heard of in his imagination. So the outcome of this match didn't come as a surprise to anyone. Mayweather would win this fight through a split decision, and with it, he'd end up taking WBC super welterweight title home as well. He also set the bar for the biggest purse ever, with over $80 million after accounting for pay-per-view sales, according to Forbes. This fight had brought in 2.2 million sales in PPV. Canelo, on the other hand, would earn $10 million, and in this list we can't call that a sum anything other than modest. Number 2. Mayweather vs McGregor, August of 2017. And next up, we have another fight between two absolute legends. Back in 2017, Mayweather came out of retirement just to fight the MMA star and two-division champion. Both of these people knew their value and were willing to dish it out in the ring for the whole world to see. The two knew how much they were going to make if they clashed, and the rest of the world caught on pretty quickly too. As soon as it was announced that out of all people, UFC star McGregor would cross over face with Mayweather, it was instantly called the Money Fight. And unlike TYSON vs Holyfield, it would live up to its nickname. McGregor fought better than anyone expected him to. He would end up lasting 10 rounds before the referee called in a TKO in favor of Mayweather. It was Floyd Mayweather's 50th win. But as it turns out, the real winners were the bank accounts of both men. 2 months after the fight, McGregor confirmed that he had made more than $100 million from the fight. Mayweather, on the other hand, earned over $250 million. According to Forbes, this fight would make Mayweather's total earnings over $1 billion. The live gate for this event was about $55 million, and it had 4.3 million pay-per-view buys. And yet, it did still not break the record for the fight that happened 2 years earlier. And at number 1, Mayweather vs Pacquiao 2015. There's a reason Mayweather has the nickname Money after all. By 2015, Mayweather and Pacquiao had been teasing this fight for over 5 years. To many, watching it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There would be nothing like it before or after. As a result, the two managed to sell 4.6 million pay-per-views and broke all records of the largest gate in history. The margin they've set pretty much guarantees that no one will be able to break this record for a long time. But even though it was a huge success in terms of money earned, both fans and critics agreed that the match itself was a bit of a disappointment. Mayweather won without too much drama. It was a bit anticlimactic. But the two still managed to make the biggest purse ever recorded. The fight became the richest of all time, and Mayweather earned somewhere between $200 and $300 million, while Pacquiao walked away with just below $150 million. So, are you still thinking about a career change? You might have to take a beating, but the purse will sure be worth it. Would you be willing to jump into the ring for a chance to win millions of dollars? Which one of these was your favorite? Let us know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, you've been fantastic, stay tuned for the next one.